right, everybody, we are live on YouTube. It is, let me hit live on Instagram here.
We are live on Insta.
All right. And live here on TikTok, 3, 2, 1. And Brett, I'll try to get you invited here in a second.
Get my chair all set here.
Invite. All right, invite sent. All right, everybody, it is Wednesday, September the 10th, and it is a very solemn show this evening, as I'm sure you're all aware of Charlie Kirk's untimely passing.
You're all aware of Charlie Kirk's untimely passing. You're all aware
at the I'm going to get rid of that right now. Anyway, Charlie Kirk's untimely passing. He was assassinated today when he was doing a speech in Utah. So tonight's show, we won't be taking any calls, but we will be reading viewer comments on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Guys, I'm shocked. I woke up to this news, or not woke up to this news. Brian, you hit me with the news this afternoon, and I didn't know what to think of it, and I got all over the websites and started reading, and it just really didn't hit me, and then it finally set in, and I still can't believe it.
Yeah. And I mentioned this earlier. I never thought I would see a day as an American where the divide between our country would lead to this type of violence. And
I agree.
I'm shocked. I'm speechless.
I mean, we've been here before with other like political people back, but the last time I think it was like a major assassination attempt was Trump, but the one a successful one was back in the 60s.
Right.
And not that I'm aware of. But, you know, my daughter comes downstairs. We all work for Real America's Voice. And Jack's on there, like, we just got word that Charlie's been shot or shot at. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I immediately hit everybody that I knew that knows Charlie so I hit you guys. And it's just thinking about all the emotions that you experience in that moment, the rage, the anguish for the family, the shock. And, you know, you just got to be measured in your response. You can't be wackadoodle and emotional in the sense like these leftists are. This is how we got here because of emotionalism. And it's just beyond words. I'm beyond words, literally. We could paint all night with words.
I'm already starting to get lots of messages and just got a text message. People are saying Democrats equal death and destruction. Our hearts are broken for Charlie Kirk and his family. Somebody said, why are they allowed to make videos cheering this on? I mean, the stuff going on from the left is absolutely crazy. Yeah. And it's sick and disgusting, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Dude, I made a video. It was on a podcast. It wasn't a video. It just got clipped. And it's all about the case for God is the fact that the devil exists. And the reason why we know the devil exists is because the Democrats are demonic. They're under a principality. They're under some kind of influence. And, you know, I'm not saying that all Republicans are not, there's no problems in the Republican Party or the conservatives, but there is some definite demonic activity going on with the Democratic Party. They've been hijacked. And you've seen it in your feed right afterwards. Everybody's celebrating and you know, and thank God that we are not like that, because when I think about it, I want to say bad things.
Right.
And so,
and I think that's the difference between the right and the left, though, that I can see, is that we're more measured in our responses. We don't have knee-jerk reactions of, you know, all this type of emotion and violence. We're more measured in our responses. And I think now more than ever, we as Republicans and as a nation need to take a step back and take a second and think about how we react to this. You know, there's people calling for people's heads and all kinds of stuff, you know, people calling for violence and all that kind of stuff. You know, you hear eye for an eye, but I think at this point right now, everything is so fractured, like just more violence is just not going to be the answer right now.
Yeah.
We need go ahead.
Well, just kind of reading from the comments here on Instagram, to watch people cheer this horrible, horrible killing of a husband, a father, and a great American. There is no good in those that rejoice in murder. And I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't go to church every Sunday, but I have been posting all day. that we need prayers for our country right now because we are in a deep, dark place. And you're right, Brian. That I think it is truly a good versus evil type situation.
It is.
And for those of you that aren't biblical or spiritual, if that upsets you, tough shit. You can always tune out. But I say this country and many of the states within this country, we need a giant political, spiritual, and moral enema.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get this shit out.
Yeah,
there's no two ways about it.
Yeah,
is
dude.
The tipping point. Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. Like you have, it's what I think. Somebody was just in my comments. How do we get to this level of evil? And that's a great question. But before I jump into that, it's more of a, we need a measured response from our commander in chief. So
Yes.
like we're waiting, and he's taking he's going through the proper procedures. FBI is doing their job. Trump's not out there, like, go get him, boys. He's waiting, and we're going to get to the bottom of this, hopefully.
Right.
And we just need to hear from the president. He needs to speak on the issue.
Yes.
And I think that's going to resolve a lot of like what to do next. And as far as how do we get to this level of evil? The devil, bottom line, one compromise at a time, we've gotten to this point, and allowing these unhealthy philosophies and to exist in this country,
Right.
that conflict with the Constitution and what the Republic stands for.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, and that's how we should look, both foreign and domestic enemies, both foreign and domestic, right? Defending our domestic enemies are people who openly call for like the overthrow of the Republic,
Right.
with Marxist ideas and values, all of this insane woke ideology, all of this stuff, to me is treasonous at the end of the day,
Right.
according to the Constitution. According to the Constitution.
Well, and to your point, I think how we got here is, trying to understand the people that we may not agree with, trying to have that moral compass to say, all right, I don't agree with you, but I'm going to hear you out. Yes, there's a place for that, but
Right.
there has to be a line drawn to where we're going, all right, you're so far off as far as like a moral compass goes. I'm going to say, look, this is the line that we're drawing. We're not going to put up with that shit. That's lunacy. And then we as a country, or we as people on the right, need to be able to have the balls to put our foot down and say, look, I respect your right to feel that way or think however you do or think whatever gender you are, but I don't agree with it. And we're going to put a stop to that shit.
Well, and the lunatic left is just that, the lunatic left. Gone are the days of the common sense Democrats of the Clinton administration. I would pray for those Democrats to come back because they were conservatives. I mean, Bill Clinton turned the Democrat Party into the Republican Party during the 90s. Everybody could meet in the middle of the aisle. Common sense decisions were made. I don't care for the Clintons. Everyone knows that. But if you want to go back and look at how the country was operating during that time, it's because common sense prevailed and all these lunatic ideas, they weren't allowed to take hold at all.
That's right.
And back then, the liberals back then at least had the same trajectory as we did on the right. Everybody wanted everybody to prosper, and they just had different ways of going about it. We all had the same end goal. It seems the liberals now just they're looking for death and destruction of our way of life and America in general. And we got to put our foot down and take a damn stand.
Yeah. Just
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Brian.
I'm sorry. No, I was
ahead,
going to talk. I'm having a hard time, and I hate to interrupt the podcast like this, but Brett, your mic must be set to dynamic or something like that, because it's I on my end, I keep hearing them go in and out, in and out, in and out.
Okay. Let me see.
And
I
just
y'all go
want to
ahead. I'll do some fixing on my end.
all right. Yeah, no worries.
Well, I'll pick up the pace here for a second. If today's events don't set back the Democrat Party 40, 50, 60 years, I think our country is lost. They have clearly demonstrated that the rhetoric that they constantly engage in and pound on and promote on a daily basis has manifested itself in murder, mayhem, and chaos. And I don't think I need to go back and list all of the examples, because those of us that are conservatives, many people watching here on TikTok and on YouTube and on Instagram, they know what's been going on.
Dude, it's you talk about the middle 90s Democrats. We've allowed greed, foreign money, foreign philosophy to to interject and hijack the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has never had a good platform to stand on. We can go all the way back through their history. And it's the fruit of everything that they were built on. And, you're talking about all the rhetoric and that they're spewing all the time, but it's these media outlets that are sitting there pushing this stuff. Like even today in the response, it might have been friendly fire. Yeah, because people pull out their guns at Charlie Kirk events and
just randomly shooting.
I'm so excited. Like we're rednecks and stuff. Woo! Not even rednecks do that, man. I mean, maybe when they're like 2 or 3 cases in, but for the most part, nobody pulls out a gun at a debate and just shoots it up and goes, "Heck yeah, I agree with that."
To even get to that logical conclusion as a newscaster and say it on air. I mean, have some freaking common sense, man.
Well, our governor here in the state of Illinois didn't do himself any favors by trying to equate January 6th with the reason why these things happened today. Wow. I was actually watching Fox when Gutfeld went nuclear on live TV after Charlie Kirk assassination, drops F-bomb right there on Fox. I'm like, whoa. And he did. He goes, they fucking awakened us. And his co-host went silent. And then, of course, they faded out after that. But he's right. I think today's events have created thousands of Charlie Kirks, people that are going to be willing to raise their hand and go, look, I think I want to speak up. And it's time to do so. And we're going to have to. Yeah, and we're going to have to make it known at the ballot box. We're going to have to ensure that we turn out in such numbers when it comes time to vote that there is no way that any irregularities will happen at the ballot box, and the vote will be so overwhelming it'll be a landslide, so we can get rid of the blue that's infested the country and the states.
Well, and what's crazy is the blue doesn't really infest the country and the states. It's gerrymandered its way into taking.
Well, I call that an infestation. That's a very selective virus.
Yeah,
there is that. Yes.
I think Arkansas just redid its maps and got them down to 1 Democrat.
Dude, I got them down. What I do, watching the Utah governor's response today, you could tell
he was pissed.
He wanted to say some things, and he just bridled it. Yeah. He just bridled it.
Let me read this. Let me read this real quick.
Yeah.
Far left Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker went far beyond offering condolences today. He pinned the blame for the deadly assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk squarely on Donald Trump, invoking the January 6th Capitol riot as a violent precursor. What the fuck?
Piece of shit,
bro, dude. Just to let everybody know, I was there for the media for January 6th. I was there, watched it with my own eyes. It was not, and some people got unruly at the end when they were incited, but I walked away from January 6th realizing that we were out of control and that there was no way that we had any kind, like nothing that we did really mattered anymore, because I was seeing lies from the left and the right, and I was there. I saw it with my own eyes, man. Like I witnessed the level of intensity and I watched how they staged the media perfectly in the center of the field and panned the cameras, and nobody attacked the media. Nobody did nothing. We all stood there in a circle and perfectly got good shots, and everybody was working together, and it's cops were talking to the people. And then I watched them when they opened the gate and led people off to the side. Who knows where they went? Apparently they went around front. Not saying that there wasn't bad actors, but the lies that were told, and the bad actors were implanted too. So let's not, I'm not even going to go there, but like all of that stuff is a big smoke. What do they call that?
Smoke screen.
PSYOP. Yeah. PSYOP.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Smoke screen. It was smoke and mirrors, bro. Smoke and mirrors. And
it was the most organized chaos I've ever seen.
Yeah. I was, like I said, somebody stepped on my shoe and they're like, oh, excuse me, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's like 200,000 people out back. And, for people who are trying to take over the Capitol, if you get into and go across and get to the back of the building, you're like, hey guys, we're in, come on. Like nobody waved anybody in.
I don't know how many insurrections you've seen, but I don't know any 80-year-old grandmas that are just slowly meandering through the Capitol, with the insurrection taking it over. Like,
dude, it's all propaganda. And I remember I was so discouraged. I stopped making content for like 3 years. I didn't make a video, man.
Well, because it was like a hopeless time. It was like, dude, there's nothing we can do
Yeah.
that's gonna help us.
And then when you experience a day to day, like today, this is why we're kind of, out of it. I'm not saying that you're out of it, but I'm out of it because
Yeah.
it just takes the wind out of you. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it takes the wind out of your sails. We are getting comments actually from all around the globe. We've got Bendy1 on Instagram, totally heartbroken from Perth, Western Australia. I mean, Charlie Kirk's reach wasn't just in the United States, it was global. People really respected his message, his intellect, and the way that he was willing to debate everybody one-on-one in a respectful manner. And I just think they couldn't have that anymore. Guys, I'm going to bring Kyle Campbell in as well. She just popped into the chat.
Hi, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Hi, I would ask how everyone's doing, but I have an idea.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Kyle, we're getting a little bit of feedback loop on your end.
Oh,
Got a
okay.
volume
Is
up?
it the, yeah, hang on. Put my earpiece in. Hang tight.
We're hanging.
No worries.
It's nice to meet you, Kyle.
Oh, I'm stuck.
So we got people from Brazil,
Oh yeah, they're chatting on my feed as well.
Australia.
Big prayers from the we got Netherlands.
Wow.
Dang, you got Are you seeing the one from Grand Jur?
We're only seeing the ones in our own individual feeds. We can't see them all.
Oh, okay. Like you got people from the Netherlands here.
Australia. There's New Zealand, Costa Rica.
Wow,
How are we doing, teams? That sound better?
sounds
Oh,
great.
yeah, way better.
All right.
Well, everybody, this is
Hawaii.
Kyle Campbell. She is the host of Politically Basic. She is a regular contributor to our live stream. And Kyle, we've had a chance to talk. Why don't you tell us how you're feeling today and what the take is out in California?
Well, obviously, everyone is just, I think, in a bit of shock today. Devastated. I was very blessed to know Charlie, to call him a friend, to have some time with him. Last summer when he came here, he would hold his investor retreat here. He's the reason I know some of my favorite people in this world in the political space. And I just think that, as I posted earlier, his organization was aptly named Turning Point, because this is certainly one for our nation right now.
Absolutely.
I think there are moments that galvanize us. There are moments that change us, that stop us in our tracks and call us to action. I think this is one of those moments. And while Charlie is resting in peace in the arms of our Heavenly Father right now, which we celebrate, and we thank God for his life and everything that he accomplished here on earth, we're left here to continue the work. And I think my message to everyone is one of hope, is one of hopefully, it's a message that strengthens people during this time. I think there's a reason that we're not seeing a lot of women posting videos on socials right now. We all have our, mascara streaming down our faces. This is devastating. No. We are heartbroken. We are, gutted over this. And the way that it happened is a nightmare. And he leaves behind this beautiful, lit from within, wife who just thought he hung the moon and stars, and these two precious children who loved him so much. That's very painful for all of us. But I think that now is the time we all rise up, step into that position. Not just some of us, not just the few of us that do this already or try to do this, and put ourselves out there and try to have courage like Charlie had, and allow ourselves to be out in this space talking about politics. But everyone out there who believes what he did, who knows what's right, who has the strength of the word and goodness in their hearts, I think this is the time that we rise up as millions of people together and take this country back, really, truly. Because what happened today is just, it's wild. It's absolutely insane that can happen. And no more. We are done. We have had enough. We are done. This is our turning point. This is our moment. And I want to say too, this is a moment for grieving. Of course, we respect Charlie and his family, and with the tears and with the sadness and the heartbreak. But I think Erica Kirk is going to rise up like the phoenix. I think we are going to see her do tremendous things in her life, powerful things, and carry on her husband's legacy. And the wonderful people who work at Turning Point carry forward what he's done. So there will be goodness out of this, absolutely. But it's just been a terrible day.
I think that's the best thing that we could do to honor him and his legacy is just help carry the torch. You know, use him as a perfect example of how to, you know, have a debate and still have some brevity and respect. But, you know, that's the best thing we can do right now is learn how to talk to each other, disagree, and help carry the torch that Charlie lit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I'm not a big scholar of the Bible, but I know unless a grain of wheat hits the ground, you know?
Yep.
And what's going to come up out of this, you know, having, you know, Kylie, or Kyle, my apologies.
Kyle, that's okay.
Kyle, that's my male chauvinism trying to
I
trying
got
to
to.
no, it's
I'll correct you, Brian. I'm not scared.
oh, cool. I appreciate that. I might need to be corrected like 5 times. Kyle, it's you know, I was telling the guys, I work for Real America's Voice. I'm a digital strategist there. I help run socials, and I'm also the director of influencer relationships there. And so our flagship show is the Charlie Kirk Show. Yeah. And so we work closely. My whole family works for Real America's Voice, and my wife does all the breaking news for RAV and sending them in the stuff. And so we've worked closely with Turning Point USA. And before that, I worked for a guy named Pastor Greg Locke, and Charlie and him, they had a mentor-mentee relationship, and he was always there. Got to meet him, had dinner with him, you know, got to know him, and not personally, like, you know, like we were chums and we go fishing on the weekends, but, you know, having had that, you know, being around him and knowing the caliber of person he is, the gentle nature individual that he is, and that he was, and it just ripped our hearts out today.
Yeah.
Honest to God. But unless a grain of wheat hits the ground, I just know that it's going to, out of this tragedy is going to come triumph. Yeah. And like you're saying, like all of us are saying, is this definitely is a turning point. This is a breaking point. I don't think people realize what they did today.
Yeah. Oh, they thought they scared us. They think they're going to shut us down, make us run and hide, and the opposite is going to happen. The exact opposite. We are filled with righteous indignation. We're, you know, we're more galvanized than ever. I think that we owe it to Charlie and people like Charlie, to those 2 precious babies who died in the Annunciation Catholic Church shooting, to every victim, to this Ukrainian woman on the train, to the woman in Alabama who was killed, to the woman in Philadelphia who was, executed in broad daylight. We are not going to be scared. We are going to rise up even more committed and stronger than ever to fight this evil. It's really pervasive. And I want to send that message to everyone who has that evil in their heart that would be celebrating this today. Those are some sick people. Yeah. And we will not be scared. We will not shy away from this. And also, you know, I know one thing for sure, and that is that God is real. And because I know God is real, I know every single person on this earth is going to meet their maker at some point. And God help these people who are trying to take out these voices they disagree with, or commit these acts of disgusting, criminal, horrific violence to silence those who believe differently. Like you will have to stand in front of your maker one day and answer for this, and truly God help you.
Amen.
Yes. I bought more bandwidth from my internet service provider, and I'm going to buy more microphones.
Yeah.
and we're gonna get a bigger voice, you know, because I was talking with some people today, and they said exactly what you said, Kyle. An attempt to silence conservatives by silencing one of the biggest conservatives in the country, and they said the same thing, and I agree. You can't silence us. Conservatives don't get silenced. All you're doing is infuriating a bunch of people, and they're going to speak up. And they need to show up at the ballot box more than they did in the last presidential election. And it needs to start at your local level, all the way through the state, through the federal government. We need to show up in overwhelming numbers, and we need to turn the entire country red from coast to coast and rid ourselves of blue.
Yeah.
Because it's not doing anybody any good. No matter what side of the political aisle that you fall, these extreme far left ideas are, well, it manifested itself today.
Yeah.
It manifested itself in the last school shooting. It manifests itself all across the board when you've got judges who aren't really judges, who let a 14-time arrested person out and they randomly kill, and then it just goes on and on and on. And then it gets buried in the mainstream media. It's only people like us that get the message out, and people that follow us and talk. Because if there's no narrative, there is no coverage.
Exactly.
And it's unfortunate. And I don't want to turn it into a specific conversation, at least not right now. But we need prayers for the entire country, prayers for everybody. And again, I've told people I don't go to church every Sunday, but there is a God. And I said it earlier, this country needs an enema. Spiritually, politically, financially, morally, ethically. The shit needs to go.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this earlier too. If there was ever a tipping point for us to make a change, it's now.
Yes.
Aside from Trump actually getting assassinated, there's no other time than now that we need to come together, right and left, and figure out how to make this shit work. You know, we know that some of this divide is manufactured and pushed by the powers that be to keep us divided and so they can maintain power. And knowing that, we've got to find a way to where, we can root out the far left, that's obviously just lunacy, and then find those moderates and those people in the middle and come together and figure out and say, look, you know, us as a nation, we're stronger than the people pulling the levers. And once people realize that and we can start coming together and find a solution, I think we're going to be 100% better off.
It's hard to even gather words right now. I'm telling you, the wind is out of my sail right now. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's like you want to keep talking about it, and I'm just like, dang, dude, dang.
Yeah. It's been tough. Brett, you're right though, and the media is responsible for a lot of this. You know, that's what Charlie was trying to do. He was trying to talk to people. He was trying to hear from people and understand the other side. You know, it's what all of us do, right? This is what we're here to do, is just say, hey, this isn't 2020. We shouldn't be terrified to talk to people about what we believe and what we think. Every single person on planet Earth believes something different. And it's completely unrealistic and ridiculous to think that even any two human beings are going to think exactly the same way about anything. But yet we were so terrified to talk about anything political, and everything's political today, right? We say that all the time. Every single issue is political, and we've got to find our way back to each other to be able to talk and have open dialogue and be brave and hash out some of these issues and still love each other and be good to each other, even if we don't agree perfectly. And Charlie really led the way on that. I mean, we can thank him for that and be so grateful, because he showed us how to do that. He knew exactly where he stood on every single issue. He had this mind that worked so beautifully. You know, I think he might have had an eidetic memory. He was just brilliant. But that gave him the confidence, and his faith gave him the courage to step out and say, hey, come to the microphone. I don't care what you think or what you believe. I want to hear from you. Your opinion matters. You are worthy of letting people hear what you think. It wasn't always nice. It wasn't always respectful. It wasn't always kind, but he still gave every person equal opportunity to say what they think. And then he shared his very informed, very brilliant opinion and made his case. And that is the goal, right? We've got to get back to that place. And people who know they're wrong, people who know they have evil in their hearts, they were convicted by that. And this person who committed this horrible crime today, he or she was so convicted by that, that they had to silence him in this way. But we need to take up that mantle that he very bravely, you know, was carrying for all of us, and continue doing that and talking and saying, hey, you know what, we can all say this too. I mean, not all of us, but a lot of us can say, don't we have people in our worlds that we love and we care about so much, and we believe very differently?
Absolutely.
People who believe differently
Yeah.
in their faith, in their religion, in their political beliefs, but we love them because that's, a political belief does not a whole complete human being make.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see us continue in that way, in that path that he forged for us.
It's very rare that you see a person so solid, like solidly convinced, solidly convicted, that conviction level on certain people, and he said it and led with certainty. And that's rare. That's rare because a lot of us doubt ourselves when we're talking, and you can pick that energy up. But when you're around him or listen to him speak, it's like Trump. Just he says what he means and means what he says.
Yeah.
And he stood on it and was willing to die for it. And
so I'm reading through some comments here. Slippery Salamander 1219 on Instagram. He was always respectful to who he was debating and had genuine conversations that nobody else was willing to do. And I agree. And TikTok, the comments are going crazy. And I know TikTok isn't a scientific poll, but I'm seeing much more positive comments than negative comments. There are some trolls out there making themselves look silly, honestly, but there was so much for support for Charlie Kirk. And I did see a couple of messages about even young kids in high school when they heard the news today were devastated. And, one woman mentioned that her daughter called home crying and that kids at school were saddened. He, in one of these messages, Charlie went through colleges helping Christians unite to become stronger and do what's right. We'll be stronger for this terrible tragedy, and I hope it's like lightning across the country. Someone's calling for violence. No, thank you. Can't do that. I understand why somebody would say it, but we need to show up at the ballot box, people.
on a local level too.
I was starting at the local level. You need to be at the ballot box, and you need to be willing to speak up, not just be on the keyboard. I know it takes a lot of courage to get on line, let alone even have a discussion with a friend or a coworker, people that you care about, to say, look, this has got to stop. And I think, again, on both sides of the aisle, Republican or Democrat, we want the same thing. We want a happy, healthy, safe country, where the American dream can come true, where if somebody wants to work, the sky's the limit. But I think the roles that we want government to have in making that happen are different. Right? I want less government. I want to be taxed less. I want to be left alone. Where I think a lot of people on the left say government's the answer to every problem, more government, more taxes. And if we don't like what you say, we will just shut you down. Well, we're like, hey, you can go say whatever you want to go say. I'm just not going to give you the time of day, and we're going to ignore you and leave you alone. But of course, if we speak up, we need to be demonized, penalized, jailed, punished in some way, shape, or form in an effort to shut us up.
So my question is this: what's the balance between freedom of speech and treasonous speech, or intentionally deceiving? I'm trying to find my words here. Intentionally deceiving the American public. Where does the line get drawn when we start holding these organizations that are spewing this narrative responsible? And how do we do that without, forfeiting the freedom of speech? That's my question.
Well, there's you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right? And then my mind goes to the next place, which is, how easy is it to deceive people these days? Because people have become uninformed. We are so busy just trying to keep our nose above water, making money, paying bills, keeping our family safe, trying to save for vacation, trying to save for retirement, trying to afford groceries, can't afford gas. Who's got time to sit down and read? If you're not completely engrossed in politics the way the four of us are, there's no time. I mean, I don't have any other hobbies. I don't bowl. I don't hunt. I don't fish. I go for a 2-mile walk in the morning to get my mind right before I start my day. But it is all about politics for me. And it happened 25 years ago for me. And it's just been that way ever since. Whoever sent me the gift of the wizard chat, thank you, on TikTok.
But I think some of that is by design. They want to keep us distracted. They want to keep us, pulled in 1,000 different directions. That way they can pull some of this stuff that they've been able to get away with for the last decade. So I think the sooner that we realize that as a country and come together and say, look, we need to all be involved in some form or fashion at the local level, at the federal level, and make sure that our voices are heard and we're educated about what we're voting on. I think that's another key factor here.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the media again, Brian, to the question that you're posing about the limits of free speech, we have to be absolute in that right. The problem is we used to have a media who would abide by some kind of journalistic ethic, right? I mean, there is one. It exists. I'm a journalism major in undergrad. I know that that's a real thing, and we've drifted so far from it. And the media really is culpable here and has a lot to answer for, because we don't have that anymore. We don't have that kind of journalism that you can trust, that they are simply reporting what is being recorded. There's so much editorializing, there's too much opinion, and most unfortunately has been skewed 99.9% to the left. That's why we're grateful for outlets like yours,
Right.
Brian. But the nice thing too is that we have the ability now for other voices to come forward. We have new media. We have everything that we're all doing every day to millions of people. Thank God, millions of people are seeing and hearing this.
Right.
And this keeps them accountable. And if we can at least get into that space and be an overwhelming, or at least a major seat at the table, I think that's going to help, because we cannot rely now any longer on the major networks to give us this information, and not only that, just to set the narrative. It's just not right. And so I think that a part of our free speech issues are going to sort out once that happens. But you know what, truly, guys, that might not happen. It might not happen for a really long time. It might not happen in our lifetime.
Well, never has there been a bigger opportunity available to us to be our own media, which is what we're doing right now. I mean, never did I imagine. I've always wanted to be on the radio. Right now I got a TV show, right? for next to nothing. And who am I, right? I'm just a guy who likes to talk about this stuff. So I know there's thousands of other people out there in this country just like us that will be taking the steps necessary to be the next one on the show, to be the next one on their own show, to create their own message, because my delivery attracts a certain amount of people. Brett's is different and attracts certain people. Kyle, Brian, we're all different, and we all attract different people. So the four of us together attract so much more. And if we can just get more and more and more people willing to come on to their own shows, be vocal, and send the message out in a way that attracts somebody who doesn't like the way that I talk or say it, we'll become an unstoppable force, an overwhelming force that can set the ship back on course.
Yeah.
All right, we're here for it, Aaron.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we're here for it. Unfortunately, this is not the way I wanted to do it.
And it all but wiped out the story from the young girl. I mean, yesterday that was so strong,
gone.
so prolific, and it's instant gone. I mean, we still
which
know,
is a
but
tragedy too. I mean, it's a tragedy as far as how quick the news cycle changes. But going back to that, I think that this was another straw that broke the camel's back. We had this yesterday. Everybody was like, all right, I feel like things are getting close to where we're about to be done with all this. And then this today, I feel like, again, I think this was the big tipping point where everybody's like, all right, we've had enough of this. Something has to change. So this is, I think, unfortunately, something like that had to happen for this to happen. But I think it's
apparently there was a school shooting in Denver today that left 3 wounded, and the shooter not dead. So maybe we've.
Yeah, I think of the 3, one of them was the shooter. I think I could be wrong, but I think that's the last I read.
AOC calls for common sense gun laws in response to Charlie Kirk's death. That is falling on deaf ears.
What a joke. What a joke. Yeah, I can't with that. We need to talk about the response, though, truly, because it can't just be no to violence, but it can't be nothing on the other side. I mean, we have to have a strong response to this that does not include violence. I was just in DC, and I was staying over at the Willard, which is so beautiful. And in the Willard, it's DC's oldest hotel, and they have this room where Martin Luther King sat and finalized his I Have a Dream speech. I love going to spaces where history was made and just being present in there. And it really just impressed on me this non-violence stance that was so powerful. And he was taken out, people didn't like what he was saying, but we've got to be together on what this response is.
Yes.
And you talk about distraction. I think the distractions come so fast and furious. We get overwhelmed, we get exhausted, we want to stick our heads in the sand and throw our hands up and say we can't take any more of this, so we do nothing. But that's not what we're called to do. Charlie would say, you're made for a purpose. You're not made to just go please yourself and be selfish and do whatever makes you happy in this life. You were made to do something. And I just want all of us in this moment to be motivated and inspired to do something about it and to stop being so effing nice. Can conservatives and Christians stop just laying down and taking it? Like, enough.
Yeah. And I kind of talked about this earlier, but we have to be measured in our response. Of course, we're not going to call for violence. Nobody wants that. It's not going to solve anything. But at the same time, to your point, Kyle, we have to have a strong, firm response and make it very clear that we're not going to put up with this shit anymore. No more bloodshed, no more violence. We're done with it. There's that fine line between being tolerable and understanding other people's point of views and then saying enough is enough. And I think we're at that point.
Yeah, zero tolerance, man. Yeah. Obviously measured, like you're saying, but like zero tolerance with the Bible even talks about, not negotiating with evil.
Right.
Having nothing to do with it. Hate that which is evil. Hate it. Hate the evil, not the person. Pray for the person. But it's evil and it's hijacked. This is not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party are now the Bill Mahers, or the old Democratic, or the Bill Mahers of the world. They're still in the center. Somehow the goal line got moved.
Right.
Now they're on the right somehow. And it's just, it's crazy. All I know is, all the emotions that everybody went through today, like rage, like this is it, President Trump says the wrong thing, we're going to war. It's one of those things. It's like, that's the way it felt in that moment. And then all of a sudden you're like, nope. And then you go through that cycle when this stuff happens. And today was the culmination of everything that is wrong with society right now, where people are taking this stuff into their own hands. You got vigilante justice, people jumping up on the roof. It looks like they got videos circulating of a guy on the roof. And, just, I don't know, man. I'm just off tonight. I'm just off.
No, we all are. And I'm trying not to burst into tears every time anybody just says anything. But no, you're right. We have to figure this out. And the other thing that impressed upon me this evening was that, I don't know if it was the governor who in Utah was saying, well, we have the death penalty here. That's going to scare anyone. These people are so unhinged and they have been whipped into a frenzy, right? Mostly by the media or other people online. The social media landscape is just unhinged right now.
Nasty.
People say the worst things, and there are people who are mentally unwell who will take that and think that it is their responsibility now to go out and take someone out, someone that they so vehemently disagree with, and that they are justified in doing that. And you think the death penalty, the threat of the death penalty that is probably not going to ever come to pass for them is going to stop them? We have got to get our consequences sorted out so that people stop and think twice and get smacked in the face with, hey, maybe I don't want to do this, or get some reason injected into their reality that puts them in check, because everything going on in our culture right now is affirming this kind of thinking. And it's just going to keep going on, and we cannot survive. We can barely survive today. We can't survive more of this.
And guess what tomorrow is?
9/11.
God, I thought about that earlier.
I did too. I was like, well, now we have to go think about what happened on 9/11. And it's almost too much to bear.
It is. You got the video dropping yesterday. It's almost by design.
Yeah.
We had the first part of the video where they froze it of the young girl. And then all of a sudden yesterday, it just drops and everybody sees this. I'm a father of 3 daughters, and I see my daughter in that girl's face every single time.
Yeah.
And all the people that sat around and did nothing. So you get that trauma. Then you got the trauma of what we all witnessed today. You had to be living under a rock not to see the videos.
And
And
by the way,
then
if you haven't watched the video, don't. It's not worth
I
it.
know.
it's
Don't
horrible.
watch it.
It's
Horrible.
horrible. I watched it once and then that was it. Don't watch it. It's not worth it.
Then you have 9/11 tomorrow, and everybody, well, at least I remember where I was on 9/11. I don't know I do kind of know the age demographic. I'm assuming, Kyle, you were very, very young.
Oh, thank you.
I don't.
Say more. Say more
So,
things.
yeah,
Say more words.
were you on this earth in 2001?
Is that a real question? Yeah.
That's a real question. I don't know you.
Thank you. Yes, I was very much present and very unfortunately was woken up super early out here on the West Coast with that. When you live through something like that, you never forget exactly where you are and what happened at that moment. Like today, we'll never forget.
Right.
Where we are. It's just that you have to take some solace in knowing that the enemy is having to work harder.
That's a great point.
I think we're getting close, guys. I don't have the gift of prophecy, but I've been a lifelong Christian. I've been in the Word my whole life. I know who wins this at the end.
Mhm.
Thank God. He wins.
Yep.
We win. The enemy loses. And he is pissed, right?
Oh,
He's pissed. He's working harder. And we hate it. But it's going to happen and it's going to get worse. And the Bible tells us that things are going to get a whole lot worse before Jesus comes back to get us. And so I think I take some kind of solace in knowing that we're getting there. The birthing pains are getting worse and we're getting closer, but it just means we have to work harder and stay tough through this. But it's not pleasant and it's not comfortable. And I think that's even harder in a time in which people in our country, all they do is try to be comfortable and not feel any pain or experience any discomfort. But that's not our commission and that's not our call.
You look at the assassination attempt on Trump. You're talking about God. I remember, we were doing the live stream. We're watching it live. We don't have we have the delay before it gets to the public, and we have pure raw live feed, and we're watching this assassinate. Dude, it was a witness to the power of God and divine intervention.
Right.
You walk away from that, you're going back to church. And then we get to we're going through all of these things and you're thinking, okay, this is it. This is the turning point, really, right here.
No, I know.
And then you get to this and it's the breaking point. And it's like, it's just wild. There is a God. And the Democratic Party is the greatest demonstration of demonic activity I've ever seen in my life. And that gives credence to the case that there is a powerful God. If the devil exists, God exists.
Right.
And it's like you said, we're coming to the precipice, and it makes me want to get my affairs in order. I hate the fact that I'm one of those guys that have to be, kind of prodded to get back into what I'm supposed to be doing and getting my life right with the Lord and all of those things, because the witness is all around you. You see the signs of everything, the decay, the rot, the moral decay, and it's a wake up call, 100%, a wake up call for Christians, for people who have wandered from the faith, or wandered from the relationship, however you want to describe it, to get in tune, to get back in touch, because you're going to need it. If it's to this level, who knows what's coming next?
Yeah, and I was, thinking about this earlier and trying to kind of grasp what we witnessed, and I hate to point fingers and try to find blame of how we got here, but at the same time, my mind goes to, if you vilify one side and say that we're Nazis or Trump is the next Hitler, our democracy is at stake, all of these, terms and viral clips you see of the left trying to incite all of these people to take action. And it's no wonder we've gotten to this point to where there's actually attempts on people's lives because people feel called that if I don't do this, democracy will fall. So to me, it's like, I don't want to place blame, but they're to blame. The media is to blame, the political influencers that you see that are, calling for, all kinds of crazy stuff that it's just, they are to blame for this. And I hate to do that, but it's like, you got to place the blame where blame is due.
You don't see right wingers, influence or people going out there. All we want is the right to exist and to believe, to live and let live. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Don't push it on my kids. We won't push our stuff on your kids. Let us live our life. We're not trying to take you out. Please stop trying to take us out.
Just leave us alone.
There's no sense to it. And you don't see people going out trying to take out Maxine Waters. You don't see people trying to go out and take out Pritzker. You don't see, and it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. We just want to exist. And that's what Charlie Kirk stood for. Yeah. He just was fighting for the right to believe what he believed and to wake people up to truth. He wasn't radicalizing people to go and take action on people.
And I think at the end of the day, that's a true testament to the difference between the moral values of the right and left. Yes, we may be pissed. We may hate that person, but we would never wish what happened today upon anybody on the left. No. And if you do, you're not part of people that we want to be around and part of our party. Yeah. I have never in my life, there's people I absolutely despise on the left, but I would never wish that upon them ever, or their family or anybody related to them. It's absolutely abhorrent. And I think that just is the true, dichotomy between our two parties. And it's, the left's moral compass is just completely gone.
One of the things I realized over the years is that the lunatic left, as I like to call them, they're about that much, but they're giving us, they're given a stage this big. They've got the loudspeaker, which has been the mainstream media for decades, amplifying their message, gaslighting the public, conservatives included, into thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more of them than there are of me, which is totally incorrect. It's a very small subset of the population that are being used to subvert this country in ways that are not conservative, they're not Christian, are not good, and not good for anybody. I say liberalism is communism wrapped up in a colorful flag. A little bit of a tongue twister there, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it's just been showing itself for years and years and years. And I listened to Rush Limbaugh from the age of 18 on, one of the best radio hosts, political commentators ever. I don't think anybody can beat the guy. And I knew I was a conservative when I read his book, The Way Things Ought to Be, and my dad handed it to me on my 18th birthday because I was going to be able to vote for the first time. And he said, son, who are you going to vote for? And I said, I want to vote for Bill Clinton. My dad said, oh. He did the whole Sanford, Fred Sanford. Oh yeah, my heart. And he's like, why? And I said, well, because I'm going to get free health care. He smokes pot. He plays the saxophone, and my college is going to be free. Right?
Why did we ever think Bill Clinton was cool?
Saxophone.
Dude, I'm with you on that. I was right there with you, bro.
Yeah, and my dad said, you have a mind full of mush, which is what Rush Limbaugh would say about young people. And he handed me the book, and I went home and read it, and I thought, I'm not a liberal. I'm a conservative. And when I was pro-choice when I was young.
Wow.
But my stance on that changed as I got older and had a child, right? I think it's wrong, but it's a debate for another day, and that's not what I'm trying to turn this into. But I think a lot more people are more conservative than they think. They just haven't had conservatism presented to them in such a way that it makes sense to them. Yes. And I think it's been preached to a lot of people as shackles. You're going to be conservative, and you're not going to be able to do anything, right? And that's just not true. We're all sinners. We're all going to do things that are not God approved, so to speak. It doesn't mean you can't have a life. It doesn't mean you can't be free, but there's just certain lines you don't cross. Right?
You're making such a good point about the media too, about this or the left. There's tiny, small, fringe population. Small. I was just at the White House and in the press briefing room, and you guys wouldn't believe how tiny it is. It looks so big and vast on television, but when you walk in there, it's the tiniest little room. And what you realize in that moment walking in there is, oh my gosh, everything that is just completely scattered across mainstream media and every channel and gets clipped across socials. This is a handful of networks.
Yep.
And they just have big megaphones. And once we wrap our minds around that and realize that we can fight this fight, we can get the right information out there. We can change culture and change hearts and minds. We just have to enter into this space that we thought that was this huge Goliath and is really teeny tiny, and they're holding on desperately to that power. They're trying so
Wizard of
hard,
Oz.
right? Yeah, absolutely. We're peeking behind the curtain now. You know, the jig is up. Like you're teeny tiny. We've got this. We've got you. And so I know we only have a few minutes left, but I just really want to encourage people, just get out there, speak boldly, screw those people who are gonna, say, well, I don't agree with it. Like, it's like, fine, don't agree. That's fun.
Yeah.
Engage in a lively debate and discussion with someone. Like, different strokes. That's the spice of life, right?
Yeah.
But don't be afraid, don't be shut down by this. Keep going, be loud, be courageous. Speak what is true and right, and more people believe what you believe than you think.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. They exploit these special groups. They put them at the tip of the spear just to further that communistic agenda that they're trying to do. And I feel bad for the groups of people that they're exploiting, like the Black population, like the transgenders, the LGBTQ. They've they have hijacked the LGBTQIA plus whatever. They've hijacked that movement, and it's crazy. And they lead with emotionalism. There is no. They say, follow your heart, but take your brain with you. And with the liberals, it's just follow your heart.
It's feelings over facts. I don't like your facts, and I feel bad about that. So I'm right and you're wrong. And if you don't agree with me, you're one of the isms.
Yeah.
Or is, and use your imagination, right?
These and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
We had it when we were on the show. When I was on the show last with you guys, we were talking about the Annunciation Catholic School shooting and this person who is transgender and all the mental health issues. We need to have another conversation about that, because what is being reported is that was the very topic Charlie Kirk was speaking into, was transgenderism and mass shootings when he was shot. We have to keep talking about this. It's already quieted down. The news cycle has started to take over that. And once again, we aren't able to continue that, to call for change, call to do better for these people, to stop torturing these poor young kids by telling them they can be a different gender. We have to commit to continuing this conversation, because once again, an innocent person has lost his life. It has had a massive ripple effect on not just his family and everyone who knew him and loved him and his massive organization, but on this country. I've never quite seen anything like it. Actually, I think the response to what happened today was so much bigger and more profound and more devastating than the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt.
Agreed.
So we're coming up to the top of the hour, and I just want to say a couple of things in closing, and then we'll let everybody else have a quick comment. But America is the last outpost of freedom in the world. And there's going to be some exciting changes coming to the show over the next couple of weeks. I hope you all stay tuned. But we are the beacon on the hill. We are the shining light of freedom around the world. And people do not die coming to this country because they want to be controlled by liberal policies and politics. They come here for the American dream, or what they perceive as the American dream, which has become harder and harder to achieve by the day over the decades, as we have been taxed to death, regulated to death. Our speech has been regulated. We have been self-censoring, and enough is enough, and it's time to move on. And the American Outpost, it's coming.
Amen. Amen. And I just want to say too, before we close out, that let's honor Charlie's legacy, honor him, and let's carry the torch that he lit, and start having conversations again. Let's agree to disagree, but let's have a fruitful conversation and figure out some common ground between us, and figure out how we can move together as a country. Because right now, and I've said it 1,000 times, the trajectory that we're on is not sustainable. The vitriol and the hate and all that stuff, and I know everybody's tired of it. Yes. So let's carry on that legacy that Charlie started, and make him proud.
Yeah. I don't choke to death first. I would just submit this: hate that which is evil, Don't negotiate with it. Stand on truth no matter what. No compromise. It doesn't mean you have to go out there and start, doing crazy things. It just means that you speak your truth, not just your truth, speak the truth. Speak the truth. And I like what you were saying there, Aaron. You were talking about self-censoring. We all went through mass self-censoring, and that needs to end. We need to start calling it for what it is, and it's evil. And we need to start pushing back on every front that we possibly can.
Yeah. Agree with all of that, and just love you guys and thankful for everything that you're doing. Jesus is the way, and we need him. That's it. We don't know the number of our days. So live every day to the fullest, do the right thing, and we're going to be okay. But we need a lot more of that. We need a lot more Jesus in our lives. So keep speaking out, team. Appreciate you guys.
Well, remember, kids, communism is not cool.
Yeah,
and that's what we're dealing with. So, all right, we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to take us out of here with a little bit of courtesy of the red, white, and blue as we take the streams down. Everybody, if you guys don't mind staying on, we'll have a follow-up here. And everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
I am off.
Just got the chills.
Good. Why?
Because of the song.
Oh, I can't hear it.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it.
Oh, no, it wasn't on there.
Oh, you're the only one getting the chills.